Okay, so once again, welcome to you all. I've had a few more joins since I've just given that housekeeping message. So great to see you all. Thank you all for taking the time out in your schedules to join us today for this webinar on Mirihi Island Resort. So let's get started. Okay, Okay, so as I've just mentioned, for those of you who have just jumped in and joined us, you are on mute. If you have any questions as we go along, please do pop them in the Q&A box and I will answer them if I can as we go along. Or if not, I will come to them at the very end of the session when we have finished, and I will answer as much as I possibly can for you, which hopefully will be everything. Okay, so before we go into the resort, what I want to do first, because some of you I know are new to the Maldives as a destination, others are a bit more familiar, so you can just have a bit of a refresher for the next couple of minutes whilst I just give you an introduction to the Maldives as a destination to start with. Okay. So the Maldives in itself, it's located in the Indian Ocean, as you can see from that lovely map on the right-hand side there, just south of India, of course, as you can see in the Indian Ocean. It's made up of 1,192 individual islands, and that's across 26 different atolls. And that stretches across the equator on 871 kilometers. So it's a great part of the world to be. It's mainly made up of coral reefs and has the richest marine biodiversity anywhere in the world. It's a really special place with over 250 individual species of coral and over 1,000 different species of fish. And many of those, the marine life is actually protected in the Maldives because they can't be found anywhere else in the world. But being a popular destination with that marine biodiversity and everything that the Maldives has to offer, it has 175 tourist resorts, which actually is growing. I believe there's going to be up to about 190 by the end of this year. There's several properties still in development that's due to be opening. So it's a really exciting time for the destination, but there's lots of choice, which is why these educational webinars are so important. So you can really get to understand the differences between those, at the moment, 175 different luxury resorts in the destination. Out of those 1,192 islands, you only have 22 inhabited islands. So interestingly, how many of those are taken up by individual tourist resorts, and they have 2 seasons in the destination. So the rainy season, which we're in at the moment, is between May to November, and the dry season is from December to May. During that time, yes, you do have a little bit more rainfall. You do have difference in temperature and climate, but I've been there at different times of the year. In fact, I was there in April, so just at the start of the rainy season, or just before the start of the rainy season. And you have a couple of showers and it's not too bad at all. You could have other times when you're sort of mid-June, July, where you have a little bit more rainfall. But generally, I would often say to people, not to discourage you going during this time, because it does open up a whole different world in the Maldives with the marine life, and obviously there's so much you can still do when it does have a little bit of a shower there. So they're the 2 seasons, May to November, the rainy season, the dry season from December to May. And looking at how to get to the Maldives being where it's located, usually from the US, you would transit. There's usually transit through the Middle East, either Dubai or Doha. And the travel time from the US is about 12 hours. I've done the journey many times myself. I've done it from New York myself. I've also done it from London, which is 10 hours direct. There's Virgin that fly direct from the UK. So there's lots of different options on how to get to the destination. If, depending on the carrier you're transiting, normally you'd have JetBlue, which transits through Doha, American Airlines through Dubai, Qatar Airways I've flown with many times, that goes via Doha. Emirates is Dubai, obviously. Etihad is the only one that goes through Abu Dhabi. And once they're in the Middle East for transit, the time up to the Maldives from there is usually around 3 to 4 hours. Most of the connections are pretty good. The flights that go from those hubs in the Middle East are very good, actually. I mean, generally, you'll probably only be looking at maybe a couple of hours at the most before you can grab the flight up to Male, which is the international airport. And even during that transit time, most of the flights, again, because of the duration, will fall overnight, so you can get a good sleep on the plane, as much as you can on a plane, and then you arrive up to Male. So it's actually not a bad journey, even though it sounds quite a long journey, but it's well worth the time. Then once you arrive into Male itself, Mirihi is very special. It's one of the few resorts in the destination that have their own dedicated executive lounge. And this is very new to the resort. This only opened in November 23. And this is in the seaplane terminal of Velino International Airport. So that's the main international airport. So for those of you who haven't had the fortunate enough to have visited the Maldives in person, when you send your clients or when you go to the Maldives, you arrive into Male and then you get a very short bus journey, which is less than 3 or 4 minutes, across to the seaplane terminal. And in the seaplane terminal is where you then get your connection to the individual islands and resorts. And this is where the Mirihi's Executive Lounge is located in that seaplane terminal. It's open between 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily, and it has a real island feel. It's almost like you're starting the vacation from the minute they arrive, because as you can see from this photo as well, it has a real island vibe to it, which is very much embodying Mirihi's concept. In the lounge itself, it's got complimentary Wi-Fi, refreshments, shower facilities if anybody wants to freshen up after that long flight into the destination, luggage storage, free check-in services. So it really is making life easy for everything. The only thing you do need to note is obviously the timings once you have the seaplane as well, which I will come to now. So where is the island? The island is located in the South Ari Atoll, which is 85 kilometers southwest of Male. So say southwest of Male International. And that's about 30 minutes, roughly 30 minutes, lovely seaplane, and you fly over all the atolls. It's really, really scenic. It's beautiful. So that only takes 30 minutes to get to the resort from the international airport. The seaplanes, again, just a bit of background knowledge for those of you who are not familiar with the Maldives seaplanes. The seaplanes are only available during daylight hours. So usually from around 6 a.m. to approximately 3:30, 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And during that time, if they do arrive later, they may need to have an overnight. If you have any clients that arrive after the seaplanes have finished, you may need to do an overnight in Male and then travel to the resort the next morning. Alternatively, there is sometimes available domestic flights to a local airport, which is Bilingili Airport, and then you go down to the airport and then you go up to the resort by speedboat. But the domestic and the speedboat, we would need to sort of look at that on an ad hoc request basis. The normal transit is that 30-minute beautiful seaplane, and who wouldn't want to not do that? It's beautiful. The luggage on the seaplane is slightly less than most of the international carriers. We've actually had a few of our travel agents that have sent clients been caught out by this, because your international flights usually have a higher allowance. But on the seaplane, the luggage allowance is 20 kilograms and slightly smaller for the carry-on size hand luggage, which is at 5 kilograms. So it's just something to bear in mind when you have somebody traveling to the destination. The cost, the seaplane transfers are not included in the cost, they are extra. The cost for an adult, the return seaplane, is $585, and for a child, it's $293, and these are all in US dollars and including all taxes. Children ages is anything from 2 up until 12, and once they hit 12, so 11.99, and once they hit 12, then they do become adult fares. The children under 2 years old are complimentary. There's no fee for those. So now you know how to get to the island. Let me give you a brief introduction to Mirihi. So Mirihi, as I mentioned, is a very small luxury boutique resort, and it's in the South Ari Atoll of the Maldives. And I'll come into some more of the details on how small and boutique that island resort is shortly. It is one of the smallest islands in the Maldives, but I personally feel it's one of the smallest islands with some of the biggest charm. We've got such a great personality in this resort. The property had a complete renovation in 2014. So when they reopened after that renovation, they almost opened as a brand new resort. So everything's still very fresh, very new, and it's maintained its traditional Maldivian charm and character everywhere you go on the island. And something to note about Mirihi, it has its own time zone. Some of the islands in the Maldives adopt what they call island time. So it's usually 1 hour difference from Male. So it's just something to bear in mind when you're looking at connections and flight times. You have to take into account that 1 hour time difference. But it is a real hidden gem in the Maldives, and it really prides itself on that personalized service, a dedicated team that really are just there to make sure that every single guest has a unique, unspoilt, and relaxing experience. So before we go into the details and the nitty-gritty of the resort, let me show you a brief introduction with their video. So sit back, relax, and watch. So that's the beautiful Mirihi Island Resort. As I'm sure you'll all agree, it's absolutely stunning and it's a great location within the Maldives. And their concept is really about being as unique as you. And you'll see that in all of the Mirihi branding. It's something which they pride themselves on giving that personalized experiences. As I mentioned earlier, it is one of the smallest islands in the Maldives. It's only 350 meters long and only 50 meters wide. You can walk from one end to the other in less than 5 if you're walking fast, or 10 minutes if you're taking a nice leisurely stroll. And it is a barefoot island. So the concept is you get off the seaplane, you get onto that jetty that you can see on the screen in front of you, which is the arrival jetty, and you leave your shoes behind for the duration of your stay. Everywhere in the resort is a barefoot island. And they have one of the most amazing house reefs you will see in the Maldives, and it's accessible straight from the beach. So the house reef is something that they're very proud of, and quite rightly so, because it is a fantastic house reef that you don't see in many of the islands now, but they've protected it and look after it very well. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. There are no TVs, no nightclubs, no motorized water sports or vehicles on the island. So there is nothing there that can disturb you. It is a complete focus on serenity, tranquility, and relaxation. And you would think no TV. Sometimes people think, oh, there's no TVs, but you really don't want it in Mirihi. It's such a beautiful island. You don't need any of those distractions. So it's a great place to switch off, relax and rejuvenate. So this is the overview, the resort map, showing you where everything is. And you can see the way that the island is laid out. You have the water villas, which are in 2 different areas. You have them in the horseshoe area, which stretches out on that overwater villa jetty at the far left of your screen on the map. And these are the beautiful water villas, which I'm going to show you later. And on the left-hand side, or at the bottom of your screen, that you can see is the other area of the water villas, which looks out over the other side of the lagoon. To the right, you can see the arrival jetty, where you come in and enter the resort. And then the restaurant, the overwater restaurant, is just off that arrival jetty. You can see on the bottom right-hand corner. So that just gives you an idea how compact and how easy it is to get around the resort in total. So let's talk about the rooms itself. In total, the resort has 38 villas over 4 different categories. So they have 30 overwater villas, 1 water suite. So that's on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see just now, that's slightly separated from the others. That is the main water suite. They also have only 6 beautiful beach villas and 1 beach suite. All of the rooms, however, come with free Wi-Fi, king-size bed or twin if it's available on request, a lovely sun deck, which you'll see as we go through those 4 different room categories, minibar, Nespresso machine, Bluetooth speaker. There's everything you would need in your room at Mirihi. So let's start with the water villas. So the water villas, probably their most popular category. They also have the most of these. They have 30 water villas in total, and the size is a great size. It's 53 square meters with direct lagoon access into that house reef I told you about earlier. So in the decking area that you can see in this photo in your screen, all of the water villas actually have subtle underwater lighting, which is safe for the marine life, but it means that at night you can get I was there in April and I just spent hours in an evening just looking out over the deck. You get rays floating by, little sharks, and the fish that come swimming right up to your water villa are amazing. So it's just a testament to the cultivation of the house reef that they have. Just for safety, something to note, the water villas, and this is also the same for the water suite, the minimum age that is allowed is 8 years and above. If you recall, I'm just going to go back a slide, you can see the walkways, for example, that take you down to the water villas. So just for safety, the water villas only accept guests from 8 years and above. Just to give you an idea of pricing, the low season, the water villas start from around 900, just over 900 US dollars per night, and that's based on a bed and breakfast basis, inclusive of tax. So you've got the 10% service charge, 16% tax, but any rate that you are quoted does have an additional $6 per person per night, which is a green tax, which is a government levy tax, which everybody has to pay. All the room categories are based on bed and breakfast. However, guests can upgrade to the half board and full board meal plans. There is a supplement. For half board, it's 109 per person per night. And for full board, the supplement is 134. And that's the same for all the room categories. So I won't say it on every single room, but just so you're aware, there is the supplement charge for the meal plans. And looking at the floor plans of the rooms themselves, you can see they're in a really quirky hexagon style layout. The decking area, which you can see, they're all in groups of two. Even though they're not connected, they are in individual groups of two. And the bathroom area, which you can see just on the bottom, if you really look at the one on the right, it's in the bottom right hand corner. You can see the bathroom opens out directly onto the sun deck, and that sun deck is where you can then step out directly into the lagoon. The room area and the living area is just on the left hand side, and that's where all the facilities are, and obviously your very, very comfortable king size bed. The doors that open out on the deck just gives you an absolutely stunning panoramic view, just straight out, uninterrupted, of the Indian Ocean. It's absolutely heavenly. And then we have our beach villas. So the beach villas, there is only 6 of them. They are 53 square meters in size. They are identical to the water villas, but just on the beach. So they, instead of having direct access into the lagoon, there is direct access onto their absolutely pristine white sand beach. Difference that they also have is they have an additional freshwater shower on the outside decking area to wash those sandy toes off before walking into the villa. Give you an idea of pricing, the beach villas in low season start from about 920, just over 920 US dollars, and also have the option of the half board and full board supplements. So looking at the floor plan, again, as you can see, very similar to the water villas, exactly the same layout with the bathroom in the bottom, the decking area straight out onto the beach, and then obviously the hexagonal shape as well. Moving on to the 2 suites that the resort has. These are lovely, lovely rooms. The water suite is 160 square meters, so it's a huge size. It's got 2 private bedrooms, which are connected by the spacious living area, which you'll see on the floor plan in just a moment. This is perfect for families. Obviously, just remember, being over the water, it has to be above the age of 8. Connected by this spacious living area, so it's a really nice communal area. So whether it's a family or 2 couples or friends, the great advantage of this water suite is the rooms, the 2 individual rooms can also be separated off, so they each have their own private entrance. So if you had 2 couples or friends coming to stay, they all have their individual entrances, so they can go in independently rather than using one entranceway. And then they use the shared communal area. The rates for the suites start at around just over 2,300 in low season, and obviously increases during the peak and high season. And when you look at the floor plan, you can see just how well spaced out, still keeping in line with the hexagonal concept at Mirihi, but you can see there's just so much space. And as I mentioned, you can have the 2 separate entrances for the 2 villas, to the 2 bedrooms, sorry, as well. And then finally, we have our 3-bedroom beach suite. So this room is the largest of all the rooms. It's 180 square meters, but it's over 2 stories. So it's actually a 2-story villa with 3 bedrooms in total. So it's the largest in the property. And it has 2 open air bathrooms, a spacious office area, which is really handy if you've got people coming that need to sort of catch up with the outside world whilst on vacation. Spacious office area, kitchenette with a dining area, which you can see in that photo there in the living area. And on the upper terrace, so when you go upstairs onto the second floor, the terrace on the upper floor has just the most amazing sunset views over the ocean. It's absolutely stunning. Private entrance to this villa through a small little garden, which is dedicated just for the beach suite. Also great for families, friends, groups, retreats, anybody who's coming that sort of wants that little bit of extra space there. These suites start from, or both the suites in fact, start from just over 2,300 in low season. So that is covering all of the room categories. As you can see, they're absolutely beautiful and so well designed as well. They've got very modern decor. They're very well appointed. So let's move on to the food and beverage. So at Mirihi, there is 2 main dining venues, the Donavelli restaurant and the Maraca restaurant, and a bar, a Nuba bar, Anba bar, and you have to forgive me on the name pronunciations, I'm not very good at these, but the Rugandu wine lounge as well, which we'll go into more detail. This photo, I just want to point out, this photo we actually took during our trip in April. We were having dinner at that table and we just felt that it was some of the most absolutely stunning views that we've ever dined at, and this is at the Maraca restaurant, so just wanted to point that out. So Donavelli restaurant, this is the main restaurant open for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and serves an international buffet style food, and it is open floored, so sand floored restaurant, so again in keeping with that whole barefoot island experience. Traditional sand floored restaurant. As I said, international buffet with specialties and local seafood. The seafood actually is, it's absolutely, I want to go back now. I'm talking about it. It's absolutely beautiful. Tastes absolutely delicious. The spacious deck area you can see here, and you would have seen it in the video that I showed you earlier as well. Really spacious deck with great ocean views. You're literally on the beachfront and you're just listening to the sound of the waves as you're having your meal. It's absolutely wonderful. And then you can obviously enhance your meals. So all the meal plans exclude drinks. So you can have obviously the additional selection from the huge wine selection, which I'll come to later, wine, champagne, beverages that obviously enhance the meals that you have. This is the Maraca restaurant that I mentioned earlier, and this is a really special dining. Obviously, I mentioned it earlier from my experience, but it really is a specialty dining restaurant. It's over the water, it's just off the arrival jetty, and it serves an a la carte menu, which is supplementary to the meal plans. But it has the most gorgeous lobster. I had lobster when I was there and it was exquisite. Wagyu beef, my partner had that and said it was absolutely amazing. So it's got a great a la carte menu and a great cocktail menu as well, I have to say. You can sit up there in the lounge area just by the bar and watch the sunset before having dinner. So you can have your sundowners on the deck at the Maraca bar and watch the sunset. And in the restaurant is actually, if you looked at it from above, the restaurant is actually shaped as an A, and it's actually named. It's in relation to, I think it was the architect or one of the previous owners' daughters. Their name began with an A, so it's shaped in that style. And in the middle of the restaurant, you have a great open water area where you can see the sharks swimming through underneath the restaurant. And we actually were there and we saw some rays swimming under there as well. So it's a real experience having dinner in this restaurant. Okay, and then we have the Amber Bar. So the Amber Bar is a really relaxed bar area. It's looking right out onto the main Mirihi Lagoon, directly onto the beach. So you can see on that photo, just the left-hand side, you can just step straight out onto the beach. Does serve some food, so there's some light snacks that's available in the bar area, but like I say, it's not a restaurant, it's more like meal and bar snacks, and has a great cocktail menu and drinks menu available for guests to enjoy. It also has the largest collection of rums in the Maldives, and the Indian Ocean, I believe, as well. They can lay claim to. They even actually make their own rum. I think they have some assistance from somebody here in the Caribbean where I am, in my neck of the woods. That they actually make their own Mirihi rum that you can that's available for purchase on the resort. But because you cannot take, being a Muslim country, you can't take alcohol in or out of the country. You can arrange for the team, the international team at Mirihi, to actually have the rum delivered to you at home when you get home. So that's available, and it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. If you're a rum drinker, it's worth trying. The bar is open from 11 a.m. till late, and it has live music once a week. And then finally, we have the wine lounge. So in the wine lounge, there is over 300 wines and champagnes that are available, with obviously an experienced sommelier there to help guide you. With a choice that big, it's very hard to decide. This room also includes, they also host wine tasting sessions, private dining. You can see in the photo there that there's options for dining experience as well as the wine tasting. And it's a really lovely room if you're in a small group, you want to get together in a private area. There's a maximum of 6 guests that can be hosted in the wine lounge. So that's the dining options that are available at the resort. So now let's talk about what else is there. I've already mentioned the serenity of the island and how much there is to sort of really connect yourself. But this is really special occasions and really makes memories at Mirihi. And that's what they're about. They're about giving a really unique and individual experience. So while it is a tranquil and serene, relaxing location, there are still lots of things to do and experience. So there's lots of things, starting from learning from the locals and exploring, experiencing something different, and enjoying a special event. So let me tell you more. The learning something new. There's lots of different classes and educations experiences available. And these are really worth doing, because when you're in the Maldives, there's nothing quite like the Maldivian culture. So experiencing a Maldivian cooking class is really quite eye-opening, and the taste and the flavors are absolutely exquisite. Cocktail making, who doesn't like making their own good old cocktail? Coconut classes and wood carving classes. So this is learning from the locals and the experts, all available at the resort. And next, one of my favorites, the experiences, the rum and chocolate tastings. 2 amazing things. Put them together, great experience. So the rum and chocolate tasting, obviously they have strong connections with the rum, with their extensive rum selection, the chocolate tasting that pairs with it. There's also other experiences, such as the private sail and dining experiences, the nightcap tastings. That's also a nice one to have of an evening. Sip from the past. So this is the old traditional rums and liqueurs that they have on property, and having a bit of an education and a little bit of a nightcap journey for everybody to enjoy. And then the beach. I mean, this beach is pristine. It's absolutely so well kept. It's a beautiful beach, and it has lots of different opportunities to utilize it. So we have the destination dining options. So for those special occasions, private dinners, somebody wants to have a nice romantic dinner on the beach, we can set the tables up and they have a lovely experience anywhere on the beachfront. Beach barbecues can also be arranged, and they also host beach barbecues as special events throughout the year. Perfect for wedding ceremonies. So if somebody wants to use the island, they do complete exclusivity as well. If somebody's looking, bearing in mind they only have 38 villas. So if somebody wants exclusivity for a wedding, that can also be arranged. Or proposals. That's also special occasion. So somebody wants to plan that really special proposal. This is a really great place to do that. Wine tastings on the beach, great listening to the ocean all around you, and champagne picnics on the beach as well. So the beach is there to be enjoyed, and the team at Mirihi really want to try and find anything possible to try and enjoy that lovely area. And then you wouldn't be the same talking about the Maldives. We didn't talk a little bit about the water and the adventures that are available. So above the water adventures, so the cruises, the boats, they can arrange things like the whale shark seeker cruise. So whale sharks are obviously, for anybody who doesn't know, whale sharks are seasonal and they go through certain, only particular areas of the world, but particularly in the Maldives, there's certain channels that the whale sharks go, and these channels run directly next to Mirihi. So you can go out for 5 minutes in a boat and a whale shark can swim by you. It's really quite special. You have the rays, you obviously have the dolphins. There's so much to see. The sunset and sunrise, it's the Maldives. There really is no better place in the world to experience that sunset and sunrise and sunsets in the Maldives. The fishing experiences that are on offer, they take out and you do it local style, so there's no rods. It's all line fishing, which is really great fun. I'm not very good at that. I've tried it a few times and I think I've caught one thing, which was quite pathetic. So, but it's good fun to do. The catamaran sailing is again another great way to see the Indian Ocean surrounding the resort itself. So that's above the water, and then below the water, so the ocean adventure that can be offered. So there is manta snorkeling, the reef. I've already mentioned about the reef, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in a second when I talk about the diving. But the house reef snorkeling, they also do a night reef snorkeling, which I've not done before. But when I was there in April, I actually did go out on the night snorkeling, and it's amazing how that house reef actually changes when you look at it under a different light. So it's certainly something which, if your clients haven't experienced before, certainly something which I would wholeheartedly recommend doing. So I also mentioned earlier the peace and tranquility. There are no non-motorized water sports on the island, but you do have paddle boards, kayaks, canoes, and lots of other things to go out and explore the reef from above and below. And then something quite special, so there's lots of activities also available within the resort. And one that I wanted to highlight in particular was the stargazing. They actually have the, I believe they can still claim this, but the biggest and or most powerful telescopes in the Maldives. And there is just no light pollution. And you can see from this photo, there is just a whole night sky to explore, and it's really worth that experience. It is a request because obviously it does have to be set up and everything, but it's certainly a nice experience to have. Beach cinema, popcorn and cocktails on the beach with a movie. What a better way to spend an evening. It's absolutely relaxing. Ocean discovery at night. So that's I mentioned about the night snorkel. But the resort can also, the team at the resort can also organise a dive and snorkel. The dive and snorkel is underwater, and like I say, seeing the whole reef and the underwater world in a different light, going out to the dive sites at night, totally different experience to seeing those dive sites during the day. And yoga and meditation sessions are also available throughout the resort. I've just seen your question, Paula, about the whale shark season. The whale sharks in this part are actually all year round. Being in the South Ari Atoll, it's part of their migration where whenever they're moving, you actually can see them all year round. The dry season, I believe, is the best season to see, or they're more likely to see them because I think it's also their breeding season. But as I say, you do get them in the channel the whole year round in this particular part of the South Ari. I think when you go further north, they're much more seasonal up there. So in the atolls, like the Ra Atoll and further north, and the Malay atolls. Okay. So, sticking with the subject of the water, diving at the resort is actually a really key activity for many guests. People go to Mirihi who are diving enthusiasts, who are dedicated divers, either experienced or want to be, because it is a really great location for diving. The team, the Ocean Pro, is the organisers, the dive centre at Mirihi. They're all PADI certified, multilingual, and they can look after all skill levels. So whether you've never tried it before and you want to, and your clients want to have a test at it, they can do a try dive to see if they like it first, or they can go out and do the full certification. They can also, if you're experienced divers, you can also go out and do the more advanced diving or courses. The house reef itself, I've mentioned this a few times about how wonderful it is, but it's just so extensive as well. It's 6 kilometers long, the house reef, which is just under 4 miles or 6,000 meters, I believe that works out as. So it's a huge house reef. And just within 5 minutes boat ride from the resort, there is up to 40 different dive sites to explore. So that's huge. The other special thing about the diving at Mirihi is they have their own house shipwreck. It's about 50 meters off the main shore, and it's at a depth of 30 meters. And because of the depth, it's usually for the more advanced divers because that goes a little bit further. But there's like I say, a house wreck just 50 meters offshore for exploring as well. And a large initiative at the resort is the coral planting. Clearly, the reef is very important to them. And they have their project, the Mirihi Project Hope, is dedicated to replenishing and replanting the coral reefs, not just around the resort, but also further afield. But the coral planting that's done as an activity in the resort is certainly something which guests should experience if they get the opportunity to. In the last, I believe it's in the last 18 months, over 1,200 new corals have been planted on the reef. And this is all done by this is all managed, should I say, by their resident marine biologist. So they have a lovely lady called Lynn, who's on the resort, who is just amazing with her knowledge. She is a qualified marine biologist, so she can help educate guests on the reef, the marine life, the replanting and everything. She's just so knowledgeable, and obviously she's in charge of the Project Hope of the coral replanting. So now we've talked about the activities and what's there to do. I just want to just give you a brief overview on how to relax, what else there is to do. The tranquil settings of Mirihi are, it just comes naturally to the island because it is just such a peaceful, quiet, like I say, it's a really beautiful island just to come and just disconnect to reconnect, as I like to say. So it's perfect to relax and rejuvenate. And they do have their spa. So it is a small spa. It's only got 2 treatment rooms. And I'm going to say the name probably, I'm going to pronounce it wrong probably here because I'm not very good at this, as I mentioned earlier. But the Duni Spa, it actually means universe in Maldivian. And the reason they've named it that is because the spa's approach to wellness is very universal. It's about a 360 holistic approach to wellness. So it's all about de-stress, relaxing, making sure that everybody has their own unique wellness program. They have traditional practices, so they've got the Balinese, Thai, hot stones, and they also have things like the sound healing therapy and lots of other specialist treatments available at the resort. They also have Ayurveda treatments, accessible, and Ayurvedic therapists trained at the resort. And all the products that are used in the spa are 100% chemical free and naturally organic. So that's, again, another testament to their sustainability, which is a huge part of Mirihi Island. They do a lot for sustainability, protecting the environment, natural resources, and it's always an ongoing project for them. So that is the spa area. And then just some other facilities that are available. So there is a great multilingual library with books in many, many different languages available for guests just to grab a book and sit on the beach in one of those hammocks or on their loungers, or sit on their deck and just listen to the waves whilst reading a book. They have complimentary snorkeling equipment, so you can just collect the snorkeling equipment when they arrive from the Ocean Pro Dive Centre, and that's all complimentary for guests. They have a 24-hour fitness centre available and complimentary Wi-Fi in the villas and the outlets. The Wi-Fi does extend to the beach area, but it's probably not as strong. But it is certainly something which is the idea is to disconnect, to have a bit of a digital detox as well at the resort. So they also have free CD rental in the rooms. They've got the CD, they've got Bluetooth speakers, as you would have seen earlier on the room information, but they also have a CD player, and they have a whole library of CDs that can be played, whether it be meditative, jazz, relaxation, lots of CDs that can be taken to the room as well. And like most resorts, they also have their own boutique shop for any of those items that guests have forgotten on their journey. So that's all the information. I'd just like to share with you now some information on their special promotions. So right now they do have a summer promotion available, which is up to 40% discount onto room rates. This is also including a complimentary meal upgrade from half board to full board. So you've got the 40% discount on the standard room rates, which are bed and breakfast. And then if your guests decide they want to upgrade to half board, then they will actually be upgraded again to full board complimentary. Anybody staying with kids, so that's anything up until the age of 11.99, so anybody under 12, also stay for free. And this is available for a booking window, has to be booked by the 15th of August, not long left, so just remember that. And it's for stay dates up until the end of September, so up until the end of that summer period. Just so you know, the meal plan upgrade from half board is applicable for extra children and extra adults sharing the room as well, but they are non-combinable, as with most promotions, non-combinable with any other offers or promotions or for group bookings. So great opportunity now to get into the resort. Booking, just remember, has to be by the 15th of August to get this deal. And now for you, for travel advisors booking the resort, they offer a 10% commission for any bookings, and that's based on the room rates. So that's on the bed and breakfast rates that they offer. And if you want to extend, and we do encourage this, go and see the resort yourself, experience it, trying next time you're on a fam trip to the Maldives, or if you want to organise your own fam trip to the Maldives, then please do bear in mind, Mirihi, they do offer travel advisor rates. So if you are looking at coming to the destination, let me know, and we can certainly see what travel advisor special offers we can do for you. And then finally, before we go to a few questions that we have here, finally, many of you looking at who we have on the webinar today, most of you are already part of our network, but we have at Hummingbird, we have our travel advisor portal, which is exclusive to agents that we have in our network. On here, you'll see any exclusive offers, if we have any particular agent rates that we're promoting, event invites, fam trip invites. We often organise fam trips to properties in our collection. So if you're interested in getting all that information, please do go to the website, click on Travel Advisor Portal, sign yourself up, and you'll just have access to that dedicated exclusive area. So that's now come to the end of the webinar. I hope you've all found it really informative and useful. I do have a couple of questions in the Q&A, so give me just 1 second. Let me go to the chat box and let me answer those for you. Okay. Okay, so all the rates, the rates that I mentioned earlier are based on bed and breakfast. So all the rates you'll see are initially based on bed and breakfast, and then from that you will then have supplements. So if you have clients that are going that want to be on a half board or full board, then they have a supplemented. And just to remind you, it's 109 for the half board and 134 for the full board, and that's based per person per night. Yes, the rates do include the taxes. So they include the 10% service charge and the 16% government service tax. That's included in the rates that you're quoted. And no, the green tax are not included. So the green tax of $6 per person per night is a separate charge that's not included. Correct. Paula, in answer to your question, everybody is welcome, and they would be made very welcome, feel very comfortable. So if you have any LGBTQ clients, anybody who wants to solo travelers, retreats, couples, it probably is more adult orientated than what I would say family orientated with young children, just because, as you can see, there is limited sort of kids. There's no kids club or anything like that. But saying that, when I was there were several families with slightly older children, so not the toddler ages, but slightly older, that are having a great time. So it really is a resort for everybody. As their strapline says, it's as unique as you. So everybody is welcome. So in answer to James, in answer to your question, there is 38 villas, but there's 30 water villas in total. Correct. And 6 beach, 30 water villas, 6 beach suites, and then you've got the 2 suites, one over the water, and then the 2-story, 3-bedroom, which is on the beach suite. Twin beds are available. Yes, you can have twin beds in the rooms. You just need to request them in advance, because as standard, all the rooms come with a king size. But yes, you can have twin beds. You just need to, like I say, request them in advance. So Kira, the seaplane is from Marley International. And yes, there is an additional charge for the seaplane. And I'm just going to flick back to that slide to remind me what those charges are. So bear with me 1 second. So for the seaplane itself, there it is on this one. So the seaplane charges is 580, I've got it in my notes, you see. It's a 585 adult return, or 293 per child, and that's up to the age of 12, and then under 2 years old is complimentary. So 585 return seaplane transfer per adult. Okay, a couple more questions coming in. Which is my favorite dining option. I've got to say, my favorite dining when I was there, and you probably got this from when I was talking, was the fine dining restaurant over the water. I mean, it just really is something, it's just really special. So when you look at the Morocco restaurant, I mean, you've just got those unparalleled views, and it's just a really lovely area to be. And the cocktails were great as well. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for your time. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. It's been fabulous having you on the call. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we will send out the recording of the webinar, so you have all the information. Have a look on once you sign up to the Travel Advisor portal on our website. You also have their dedicated page on there, where you have all the information. You can download any assets, and of course that's what we're here for. So if you have any questions at all, reach out to us. We can either connect you with the team at the resort or help in any way that we can. And I hope you found the session informative and enjoyable, and we look forward to helping you send all of your clients who are looking at the Maldives to the fabulous Mirihi Island Resort in the South Ari Atoll. Thank you once again. Have a lovely afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you again for joining, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar.